right, so in this lesson, we're going to be talking about hands, rudiments, and everything that entails, and then how we kind of apply that technique in playing with good technique on the snare drum. How do we apply that to the whole kit? Okay, so often one of the biggest things that I kind of see is the lack of attention to the details of your hands, of your hand technique, and specifically how you play your rudiments. So I'm going to show you an approach of playing rudiments that I learned from studying with Kenny Washington that really helps to make everything you play a lot more clear. Okay, so this is the main thing to really pay attention to and to remember is that there's two levels of strokes that you want to use. Of course, when we're playing, there's going to be all kinds of different levels of strokes, but there's two main strokes when you're playing rudiments that I want you to pay attention to. You have your low stroke and then you have your high stroke. Two different levels, okay? And with the stick, it looks like this. That's it. Nothing in between. And for the sake of this lesson, we're not going to be talking about anything in between. It's just a tap or a full stroke. And that's it. So when you're playing your rudiments, just keep that in mind. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like if we apply it to the rudiments. Okay, so just taking a paradiddle. Now, when I'm playing, notice how I'm really trying to play right in the center of the drum, always in the center, and I'm trying to stay in the same place. No moving around to the edges and moving. I try to stay as consistent with where I'm playing on the drum as possible, okay? For consistency of sound and consistency of feel, everything. I'm also trying to stay consistent with my hands, right? I'm using German grip here, and I'm using traditional grip here. Maybe you're more comfortable with German or American. Either way, I do not recommend French grip for playing the snare drum. French grip you can use for the ride cymbal, definitely not for snare drum. But American grip is kind of in between traditional and French. This is American, right? So I kind of use American. I use traditional. When I'm playing snare drum, I use more traditional. Traditional grip engages your wrist more, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But anyway, so back to the two levels. So we have a full stroke, and then we have more of like a tap. And you notice how I'm using my arms a little bit? Often I see this. I see drummers that are stiff, their arms they're leaned over. There's something, right? Your arm should be somewhat loose, actually, nice and free, and allow your arms to help propel the stroke, actually, to help produce the stroke, I should say. This is kind of a molar technique. The faster you get, the smaller your movements get. And then it gets to the point where you can't really, it'd be too much to use my arm. So at this tempo, it's more just in my wrist that I'm using the molar, but it's still there. But then the slower I get, I involve more of my arm. Okay, this is going to help so many people because you get a lot more sound, or there's an American saying, you get more bang for your buck. So I get a lot of sound with very little effort because I'm using a nice, healthy, full stroke that starts with this whole molar stroke, right? This kind of wave. It produces a very natural kinetic energy that comes out in the note, right? I don't have to work for that. If I do this, though, I'm working for that. And it's not as pretty of a sound, right? And it's probably not as good for your wrists either. So that's the molar stroke. But back to the accents. We have accents and then non-accents. Accents, non-accents. Accents, non-accents. That's it. So let's see what that sounds like with different rudiments. So that's the paradiddle. What about the we'll do flam taps. It's not. Nope. Let's do radical cue. So even my drag, it's down here. It's not. You see how the accent's really coming out? Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few more. Let's just do a flam. Again, it's not this. It's this. And if I were to turn the snares on, with the snares on, it's a lot louder, right? The sound is much louder. Therefore, we have to control it more. And so if everything's kind of a big stroke, it gets too loud. But if it's a much cleaner sound, much cleaner and clearer sound. Flam paradiddle. Right? So that's the first thing I want you to really kind of pay attention when you're playing your rudiments, is just accents, non-accents. Accents, non-accents. Also, and we're going to talk about doubles, playing doubles. Now, a lot of drummers will play doubles like this. You notice what I'm doing? I'm using my fingers. And there's nothing wrong with using your fingers. We have to use our fingers. Absolutely. Only if we have to use our fingers. So you should always try to play everything with your wrists. Tony Williams talks about playing. He strived, or he tried to play everything. He did play everything with his hand, right? His whole hand, not just his fingers, not even just his wrist, his whole hand. He thought of his whole hand connected. But it's similar to just playing with your wrists, okay? So I want you to practice playing doubles with your wrists, not your fingers, okay? So slow tempo, it would sound like this. And we're going for an even sound. Da 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 da. We don't want da 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 or da 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 da. It has to be even. And playing with our wrists helps us, allows us to be able to play even. Right, so I'm just going to try to keep it as even as possible. You hear how even it is? You hear how even that is, right? By the way, don't be in a hurry to play fast. You see how I haven't played anything fast? That is not the point. The point is to get a good sound with good control. Okay? That's the goal. So don't worry about trying to play fast. So at that tempo, again, da 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 da. It's not da 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 da. Almost like I'm playing with one hand. So I just want you to practice that and be able to hold it. And make sure you're relaxed. If you're not relaxed, you're not going to be able to sustain this for a long time. all wrist. Whoops. All wrist. Relax. I'm not doing this. You hear the difference? Accent. Not doing that. It's even. Be able to play it at a quieter dynamic. So I have to work at that. That's not as easy. It's harder. So the point is that even though I'm playing with my wrist, I'm not tight. I'm not tense at all. You have to stay relaxed. Through everything you play, you have to stay relaxed. I like to say, I have this phrase, stay firmly relaxed. So you're strong and you're in control, but you're relaxed. You're not tense, right? Tense might, you see my arm? I'm playing with my wrist, but it's not as good of a sound and I'm not as relaxed. This, easy. Okay, so I want you to practice your doubles like that. Okay, very, very, very important to work on that. I'm going to show you how all this applies to the drums in a second. Again, play slowly. Be able to play slowly. Even though it may seem easy, you know, when you see somebody else do it, you try it. And doing this, practicing slow will kind of get you hearing every stroke much clearer, and it keeps you accountable for controlling each stroke. When you play fast, you can just kind of play fast and you're not really thinking about every stroke, okay? And then obviously same thing with singles. It's wrists. We're not doing this. It's all wrist. At different dynamics. Practice all your single strokes. Practice different dynamics and try to control it with your wrists. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this applies to soloing, okay? Just thinking about rudiments. I want you to practice moving the rudiments around the drums in a super rudimental way. I'll show you what I mean. So we got the flam paradiddle. By the way, do you know all your rudiments? If you don't know all your rudiments, you better learn them because you need them all, okay? I'm not going to be covering all the rudiments here, but you need to know all your rudiments. Here we go. So I'm going to take that and move it around, but I'm going to add my feet. I'm going to add my feet. If I can add my feet. Here we go. Real simple. Now, right? Make sure you relax. Now let's move it around. Let's see. Let's see. It's tricky. Slam taps. And you notice I'm still really trying to keep that difference of accents, non-accents. Accents, non-accents. That is so important. So important. I have the snares off now, but if I turn them on, you're going to still hear a lot of, it's going to be very clear and not loud. Okay, so I'm literally just taking the rudiments and moving them around, just so we get used to moving around as we want to, as we're kind of hearing it in the moment, right? So paradiddle. So I'll use paradiddle diddles. I'll use flams. I'll use a variation of different rudiments and just show you how I'm really thinking about. I'm thinking about using the rudiments around the drums the same way I think about playing it on the drums. On the snare drum. So 1, 2. So I'm literally just improvising around the drums using rudiments. Okay? And also you'll notice I was starting to use some dynamics. Dynamics make it sound much more interesting and compelling. So at times I want to play more, right, on 2 levels. Now I'm starting to think about musical devices to make it sound more musical. And one of those main devices is dynamics. So So have fun with that. See how kind of free you can get with moving your rudiments around the drums. If there are certain rudiments that you feel weaker in, maybe you're not as strong with Swiss Army triplets or the rattle-me-cue or the double rattle-me-cue, or then try to really incorporate that rudiment in your improvisation around the drums using the rudiments. Okay? All right. Hope you enjoyed it, and have fun with rudiments.